Documentary filmmaking can be your business if you treat it like one. That means being strategic, efficient, and ruthless with your pre-production. To see what this looks like at the highest levels, today I'm joined by director Dana Nachman to go over how she shot a 5-episode doc-series for Hulu in just over 1 month. We go over how to plan your story before you get into the field, how to put together a call sheet, story sheet, and then we'll review a scene that I shot for the series to show exactly how a vision on paper became an actual scene on Hulu.
I can't imagine anything better to do.
With this Dear Santa project, can you kind of set the context for like the challenge from a production standpoint so that when we jump into a scene case study and look at how you plan for that scene, we get a sense of like where this sits in the context of this month and a half that we were shooting?
Yes, that you hit the nail on the head. So the idea of the show is, every year hundreds of thousands of kids write letters to Santa Claus. They put them in mailboxes, and then for more than 100 years, the United States Postal Service has been dealing with those letters. And so we found out about this, and I wanted to tell a story about this, and that's what we've been doing with Dear Santa. So kids write their letters, around Thanksgiving, and so we have to find the letters, find the kids, go shoot their stories, all between the time they write the letters in November and Christmas Day. So it's just inherently a crazy production schedule. And we choose the letters based on their content, not based on where the kids are, really. So we could find a letter in Oklahoma City, which is what we'll see here, and then we have to go to Oklahoma City or in New York. And so when this is our third time doing it. We did a film and then season 1 of the series and now season 2 of the series. But when we did the film, we were just going all over the place. You went all over the place, we went all over the place. And we just have to do it in the most efficient and organized way possible to get the story.
In the documentary world, where we think of documentaries as like just show up and see what happens and capture whatever happens in the moment, why do you think it's so important for filmmakers out there to be thinking ahead and planning ahead and being strategic before they get out into the field?
Well, okay, so first of all, I have to preface this by saying I'm from a news background. So I worked in television journalism for many years before I started doing documentaries. So in that, it was amazing training because we had an assignment in the morning. We didn't even know what it was until, 12 p.m. sometimes, and we had to have it on the air by 5 or 6 p.m. So that trained me to be very efficient with how I worked. So that just, let me preface it by saying that. I haven't been one to go out for 3 weeks and find the story there. And I think the benefit of having this kind of background, this way of working, is that if you're somebody who's just wanting to start doing this and you have a day job and you have to shoot a documentary on your weekends and your holiday, paid vacation, which is what I did on my first feature, you still have to be efficient. Or if you're hiring anybody to go with you, to shoot it or to do audio or whatever, you still have to be efficient. So there's so many reasons why, or if you're just getting a friend to help you, you have to be efficient with their time. So right. I think there's a lot of reasons from the very beginning of your career through where I am now. I've done 6 feature documentaries, 2 series, and there's always a great reason to be efficient. We're always trying to save time or money. And and I consider it a business. It's a creative pursuit. I love being an artist, but I also want it to be my job. And so part of that is treating it as such.
One of the ways that you were mentioning that you do that and kind of plan ahead as you're thinking of setting up a series like this is thinking of your beginning, middle, and end. Can you expand a little bit more about why that's so important?
Yeah, and so that's for this show and for anything that I do. And I'm not even sure when I first started out, I thought of it this way because it actually is so simple that it maybe feels like you should think about it more in a more sophisticated way. But really, every story has a beginning and a middle and an end, and like if you want to be fancy, you can call it an act 1, an act 2, and act 3. But we have to have our characters go from point A to point B in a dramatic and interesting journey, and that just involves a beginning and a middle and an end. In this Dear Santa, it's a kid writes a letter. That's the beginning.
That's the beginning.
Right? Then we have an elf, or Santa and his elves get involved and help make this letter's wish come true. Okay. And then point B is the kid gets their gift. Okay, so super simple.
Writes the letter, elves get involved, and Santa gets involved, they get their gift.
Yes, done.
ABC.
ABC. And it's my job as the director to make sure that every person who's going out knows that very simple kind of formula. The more simple that you can make the trajectory, the outline of your idea, the better it's going to be across the board. And so I think that, sometimes it's harder than others, and I think sometimes people resist it because they think it has to be more sophisticated, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it affects how sophisticated the end product comes out. I just think it's a way of, it's gonna almost like guarantee your success if you think about it in this way.
I think for those watching, if you're like me at the point in your career that I'm at, we don't always have a big team or kind of these cross-country projects where you have shoots in this state, all in a compact period like we did with Dear Santa. But I think this is a helpful strategy to start practicing of like thinking of your beginning, middle, end, thinking of like all the story beats that you want to have, and even getting that down on paper to hold yourself accountable, because at some point, if you want to get to the point like Dana's at, it becomes critical that you can then communicate that to a team and they all have to be on the same page.
Right. I'm in pre-production on a short right now that's just going to be me going out with one cinematographer, probably not even audio, just two of us. And I'm thinking about it the exact same way. And it's a pretty simple story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I think even as I'm trying to figure out how do I make it more sophisticated, how do I make it more complex beyond this beginning, middle, and end, I'm starting with the same principle. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a 1-day shoot or a 55-day shoot. I think it's all the same principles.
Okay, so we're gonna look at a case study of a scene in Dear Santa and break down how Dana thought about constructing the scene, being extremely efficient with doing as much as we can on really 1 day of shooting. This is the scene that I shot in the series, which is also kind of fun. I can speak from the perspective of the cinematographer. So we're gonna watch it first, and then we're gonna go through the call sheet for that day, the story sheet, or if that's what you call it, and see how Dana does it.
Oh my gosh, these are amazing. I love it. This is my very first year of being an elf, and I'm so honored to be able to step in and help Santa in any shape, form, or fashion. Santa chose a really special letter for me this year. And it's from a little boy named Robert. And I think he knew it was gonna touch my heart because this young man has a love for theater, and theater is my passion, it's my heart. Dear Santa, my father has been very sick in cancer and has been through many treatments. He has been in and out of the hospital, and I don't want a present for Christmas. I just want my father to be better and even to go to a play or show with him. Thank you, Robert J. When I heard that he wanted to see a play, I was like, yes, let's go see a play. I'm all about it. Drama and theater, it can just change a person's life. Dear Robert, Santa and I are planning to send you and your dad to see A Christmas Carol at Lyric Theater of Oklahoma. And as an extra special surprise, the elves at Lyric have invited you both to be a part of the show. They're actually gonna get to walk on and do a part in the show during the actual performance. And I think that's just gonna blow their socks off.
So we were thinking that we'd have Robert and his father come down this aisle and come up these stairs and be on stage for the opening scene. And then after the opening scene is done, they're gonna go out those doors and they'll get to spend some time backstage with the actors, which I think will be fun. This is the first time that Santa has ever asked us to do anything like this.
Okay.
We found 3 places where we can get them in the show,
Oh,
so
wow.
we're really excited.
Yeah.
Won't that be fun?
Yes, he'll love it. The reason I decided that I wanted to be an elf for Santa this year is just have an opportunity to just bring joy to a family's life. I can't imagine anything better to do than to give them some hope.
Isn't that fun to see your work?
That's great.
That's the first time you've seen it.
That's very exciting. Even this particular scene, with them because I was covering this scene as just like a solo camera,
Yeah.
trying to make it look like there were multiple cameras.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see it all like
No, it's
edited
really,
together.
really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, and like I was, it's funny when I've watched this a billion times, but I don't get to watch it with the cinematographer ever. And like, you can just know it will just show off, like see how steady every shot there is. Like oftentimes, like we don't have usable things that people come back with, and this it's like has everything usable, everything super steady and held long enough, and it was really great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into how this day of shooting came together. So we're gonna start by looking at a call sheet. So Dana, what is a call sheet and what's its purpose?
So call sheet is really, it's funny, most of my first part of my career, we didn't even use call sheets. I think it's really from the narrative world. So when they have a lot of people coming to set, that it's very, very organized. There's no like, oh, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to call. It just has every piece of information, very technical information that you could want. You tell me, like when you get hired for a job, it's super important for you, right?
It's super important for me because oftentimes, I'm coming onto a project for whether it's a day or 2 days, and it gives me a sense of like who I can reach out to if I have any questions, which inevitably come up, and gives me a sense of usually like the equipment that I'm gonna need for that day. If I can see kind of a breakdown of like, okay, we're going here, we're gonna be shooting an interview. Okay, then I probably need to pack a light. Or if it's just, we're following a character at this location, that will determine, what I'm bringing. So it's really helpful for me to kind of think about not only the gear, also how to like manage my energy throughout the day.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like when you're gonna have a break for lunch or for a snack, or it seems silly, but these are long days and it's not really silly. Yeah.
So this is the call sheet here that I got for this particular shoot in Oklahoma City, and it has a very detailed breakdown. Looks like we started at 11:30, and it's almost like every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes that we are, focused on getting something. And on this particular day, we were actually shooting multiple scenes. So it looks like in the morning from 11:30 to 2:45, we were working on that scene that you just watched that happens at the theater. And then in the afternoon, we went to a different house and a different character to film another scene that happened in another part of the series.
Okay, so I just want to stop you for 1 second about this, because I would say, like when we're having our pre-production, so all the producers are working on this, and I say, guys, I want them to shoot two scenes in one day, and they're always pushing back at me, Dana, that's too much, and this and that. But I was like, no, it's not. If we're efficient and we know the way that, we want to have enough time to set up. Let's see if you did. Like, so when you went to, let's go back to the top of the other one. So you were to show up for film exteriors, you had 15 minutes for that. I think that's plenty. Some people would argue. The theater opened at 12. And you had to shoot your interview at 12:45, so that gives you 45 minutes to set it up.
Yep.
It's not the most amount in the world, but it's still not 15 minutes. Would you say that's good enough?
Yeah, I would say that like even seeing that ahead of time on a call sheet, that gives me a sense of like what the expectations are a little bit, and also how to communicate with. On this shoot, I had like an assistant camera and a production assistant. On the way to the shoot, I could be like, okay, those first 45 minutes is going to be like a rush. Yeah. And we're going to have to be putting up, string lights in the background. Right. We're going to have to get that key light set up. That's going to be our main focus. And it just like, it gives me a good sense of, what we're looking for. Yeah. In that particular.
So I think
scene.
the efficiency part of this, if that's our theme of this episode, then I think it starts with this call sheet and making sure it's realistic too. Like, and so we have a lot of discussions on our producing end, like, Dana, that's not realistic, or Dana, this isn't going to be successful. And so I said, okay, we'll give them 15 more minutes, or things like that. And so I think you're right. And it's a difference between setting up 4 lights and setting up 1 light potentially when you know the amount of time.
Another thing that I want to point out here on the call sheet that's helpful for me as a cinematographer is it's really nice to have like a certain block of time that just says film exteriors, because we know that we're always going to need that. So to just
have a reminder too, in case you forget.
Exactly. It's a reminder, because like if it just said, okay, arrive, and then we go into setting up the main interview, and then there's this B-roll section, if the director is hoping that the cinematographer captures those film exteriors in this B-roll section. You're just leaving a little bit more up to chance, me remembering,
That's not right.
I forgot to go out there. So like, it's nice, even though it feels like very granular in its detail, it's nice to just have these as reminders so that you can even check them off when you're in the field to know that you got them.
100%, yeah. Oh, and on the call sheet, I believe,
let's go over to that.
Go down, I think like just a couple things here.
Yeah.
So there on the notes for field producer, there is a link to the story sheet, so there's no way they can miss it. And then there's also these letters. The letters are what Robert wrote. So if it's just getting so that if you are so interested and you want to do a good job on your job, everything you could possibly need is in your brain like it's in my brain. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So here in the call sheet is the story sheet. So you can get it directly from there.
Perfect. Okay, so story sheet.
Yep.
Now, story sheets might be a little less common.
Yes, I think I made this up.
Than call sheets. So what is a story sheet?
I totally made it up. You're not going to be able to like Google story sheet because I made it up.
So what is a story sheet and how might people make use of these?
So where this originated for me was when I was a journalist. I started going out for the first times in my life, interviewing people. I was nervous as heck, and so I would make these for myself. I've made them on probably every interview I've ever gone out on, which is many, 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 and I do it every time. So now I just decided I'm going to provide this for anybody else who just wants to be in my brain, and it may be relevant, may not be. You don't have to click on it if you don't want to, but in the situation like the scene we just saw, you said you went out with our friend Jen. So Jen, this is now a brain dump from me. It's the who, what, when, where, why. It's a little bit redundant of the story sheet of the call sheet, because when I was doing this alone as a journalist, I didn't have a call sheet, right? So it tells where you're going, what time, a contact number for somebody, and then a brief about what this shoot is, and then all the questions that I'm going to ask, what the scene's there for, just so as everything I could possibly think about is on this sheet, so that if like we were on a shoot once where I had to go to the hospital in the middle of it and I had to leave, this was there for you guys to fulfill. Yeah. So, it's basically a brain dump.
Let's look at a couple of these sections. So we have this why section. So because the who, what, where, when, who, what, where, and when looks similar to the call sheet. And then the why, it's like now you're starting to expand on what the actual story we're going to see in the film is. And then we have scenes you're trying to get, a little similar to the call sheet. What the day could look like.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and I just want to say that part of the reason why this seems redundant is because they make the call sheet off of what I've said here.
Gotcha.
So that's why
you make this, and then the producers make the call sheet,
and then they could make the call sheet off of this. So so I did write exterior. That's why they got the exterior. If I hadn't written it,
gotcha.
And then they might say, "Oh, Dana, we can't do it this way." That's why I say what the day could look like, because they'd be like, "Oh, the post office worker's only available at this time," and there's a lot of logistics, and that's what I leave to the production team, thankfully. Yeah. But that's what this could like. But basically, they see these are the elements I need as the director of this. I need you guys to get these elements. I will be in trouble if you don't get these elements, and so I don't really care which way you do it, but please get them.
So the questions for Delaney, who we just saw in that scene right there. Do you spend a lot of time going through these questions, and how do you kind of balance as the director, making sure you have what you need in terms of writing these questions, and then also giving a field producer, in the case that you're not there, kind of creative control to go wherever the emotion of an interview is or wherever the energy is?
You need to get certain pieces of information. So I expect them to get these questions and then do whatever else they want. I mean, how many questions are here, do we think? Like 10?
Yeah, something like that.
So this should take, I can't imagine more than 15 minutes to get these.
Yeah.
So then after that, how much time I wonder, did we allot? But then you can do whatever. And I know, hopefully the people who we are hiring for this are very good at what they do, and they are. I haven't had any issues. But they know that they're going to ask the question, tell me about the letter to Santa this year. Why do you think you were paired with this? And you could hear that answer in that, Yeah. And she's like, oh, I knew when they were going to the theater. That was my jam. That's who I am, And then, So obviously she was so animated with that. So then the field producer there, I can't know how animated she's going to be. Then they'll follow up. Well, why do you love theater so much? And and I think our philosophy as a team is we like to be very conversational. We like just much like this, and we want it to be natural. And the more stilted you are, the less natural the person's going to be. So they know to get these, but then to let it go and be a conversation.
B-roll reminders. Get plenty of
that's a
coverage,
huge one.
Tons of cutaways. Yeah, what do you want to
So
share?
that, I'd say if we've had any issues with this show, it's with not having enough coverage. That's a big problem. And the editors just tear their hair out when there's not enough usable shots. And so that's a big one. And so this is like something you've probably heard us on calls when we have big calls with the cinematographers. We'll say like, you must get enough coverage. Like, if somebody's wrapping a present, like get it from every angle. And you can see like you did that in, with that interview, you covered it really well. When she was in the, looking at the wardrobe or whatever she was doing, like it might seem funky at the time, but we need it, and so.
And sometimes that means asking her like, okay,
can you do it again?
Yeah, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. And in some of those moments, like that's fine to be able to do that. How much do you give the participants in the film a sense of like what their role is in a scene, like what your goal is, what the themes are, because you don't want to overwhelm them.
Before the day, you mean?
Yeah, before the day. On this project?
Not a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I don't talk to them as much, especially on this project. Like, I'm just thinking about the shorts that I'm working on now, where it's like all stripped down. I mean, this is a big production compared. The other one we're going to shoot on our own dimes. Like, it's not going to be like a big thing like this. But even so, I say to them like, I want to profile you. If people ask me what questions I'm going to ask, I say, I just have it be a conversation. I try to avoid that because they then rehearse them, sound too scripted, doesn't sound natural. But I say, but I want them to be comfortable. So I say, look, I want to talk about your daughter, or whatever it is, or your experience with X, Y, or Z, just real generalities. And so I think, I never talked to Delaney before this, but if I were the producer, somebody talking to her, I would have just put her at ease and said, look, this is your letter. We want to talk about your letter, why you want to be a elf for Santa, what Christmas means to you, what the Christmas spirit is. Like, just say things like that in a fast way, not in writing, so that they don't then like obsess about it, like which I would if someone was going to ask me.
Yeah, you don't want them getting too much in their head about needing to perform or like adhere to something you're looking for.
Especially someone kind of like her who is a performer. The worst interviews I've ever had are people, like I remember one time I was really young and new to this. I had to interview the Second City comedy troupe in Chicago. Nightmare. I mean, they would not answer anything I said. Like they were performing the whole time. I wasn't fast enough to keep up with them. I didn't even know what they were trying to do. It was just a real disaster. So the more there sometimes gets to a place where you're at a battle of wills in a way. Like they want to get something across and you want to get something else from them, and it's hard. But in something like this, it's totally easy. People, and now, the more you have your entity out there, people can watch last season. They can watch the film. They can see what we're doing, and
share your portfolio of work so they have a sense of
I always do that.
Yeah,
yes.
So who you are as a filmmaker.
And people always have done that. Like they look you up, they like see what it's like, and then we go from there.
So let's look at the end of this sequence. Why don't we jump back to the film here? So we have beginning, child writes the letter, middle is what we just saw, and now we're gonna watch these two little scenes back to back that are the end of that story.
I'm gonna put some up there on the top. Oh, let me get that.
Who could that be?
Oh, hello.
I'm Mark from the Elf.
Hi.
Santa sent me.
Oh, get it?
It's Santa, apparently.
Oh, come in. You guys, there's an elf here.
I was looking for somebody named Robert.
This is
Yes,
Robert.
you're Robert.
Robert James.
Robert, how are you?
Good.
Santa sent me to bring you something. Oh, look, this is Robert on it also.
Wow, that is so pretty. Dear Robert, greetings from the North Pole. Santa and I are planning to send you and your dad to see A Christmas Carol. As an extra special surprise, the elves at Lyric have invited you both to be a part of the show.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome. Wait, let me see that.
Wait.
Oh man, this is tomorrow? Now it's a real surprise. What are we gonna do?
You're gonna be in a show.
We're gonna be in a show, Robert. I can do my Christopher Walken.
Oh, no.
Wow, this is fantastic. This is probably one of the more unexpected gifts I've ever gotten. I'm very excited. It'll be my first time on stage.
I hope you will enjoy all the gifts that you got, because you deserve it.
I will.
Because you deserve it.
Because I'm going to make a debut on the show.
You'll be fantastic, I'm sure.
Thank you guys. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay.
Merry Christmas. That's. I'm sorry. That's. Merry Christmas. I can't do Al Pacino. Merry Christmas. Yeah.
So with that, one thing that came to mind when we were watching it, so the mom was the only one who knew what was happening there. Nobody else there did. So like that's another thing. Like every show, every film is specific, has its own specific issues, and this one is that, we always need one person, an adult, to be in the know, and then nobody else to be, and sometimes once in a blue moon we have an adult who gets a present, and then it's really hard for us to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And
I just want to point out for the cinematographers out there, we were just talking about that coverage, and kind of moments where you see that coming into play are all these different reaction shots that we have of people.
It's so hard.
So like right there, you have that reaction shot of the dad looking at the letter being read. Likely that's a reaction shot that's gathered after the child is reading the letter, and then it's kind of edited into that sequence to make it look like there are multiple cameras rolling at the same time. That would be my guess. And similarly here, like making sure maybe after the letter's read, things calm down a little bit. Hey, would you mind?
But the guy's still there. The elf is still there. So that's interesting, right?
The elf is still there.
You have to work super fast.
Yeah, the elf is still there. And so just getting some of these detail shots that you can intercut is part of that coverage. Okay, now let's see the end of the story. The last scene and this scene were both shot by Mike Abella. Shout out to him.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, you must be Alan.
I am. It's great to see you.
Good to see
good.
you too. Oh my
This is
gosh,
Robert.
are you Robert? How are you doing? I am your elf at your service.
Thank you.
We have some great things in store for you today.
Woo! You think you like the hat? Yeah. You sure? You don't wear it backwards?
I've never been in a play with my dad, and I feel like it's gonna be really fun.
I think that little moustache
Okay.
with these mutton chops will make you look spectacular.
Okay.
Let's just go the other way.
Pretty impressive wigs.
Pretty impressive.
Already I'm getting a little more nervous about being on stage. Robert's an old pro. This is nothing new to him.
Good.
So I got my boy here with me. He's going to help me get through it.
There
Go.
you go. Yes.
Get it.
All right.
Bump,
Yes.
bump,
All right.
bump,
Yes.
bump. Yeah.
There. Yes.
Oh
There
my
you go.
Gosh. The way
Yes.
that Kate moves.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Yes,
I wish
yes.
we could share. There you go. There you go. Yeah, thank you. Oh, goodness. Thank you. Hi there. All right.
You look like a dandy. You look great. And then just pull it.
take
And
it
just,
off
yeah,
the-
there you go. Perfect.
You look like Willy Wonka, with shorter hair.
I said to Ashley, I was like, it looks like Christopher Walken.
Christopher walk on. Christopher walk on.
Oh, that's actually okay. Okay, Ashley.
Hello and good evening. Happy holidays. I'm Michael Barron, the director of Christmas Carol. I'm with Delaney here, who's one of Santa's elves, and tonight is a very special night. Lyric is very honored and proud to partner with Santa.
All the letters that get sent to the post office for Santa, and there are certain ones that kind of radiate with that certain something that's just, we know this is a special family. So tonight, what you will witness is Robert, who wrote this letter, and all he wanted to do was take his father to see a play. So not only is Robert and his dad, Alan, and his family here, but Robert and Alan will both have a part in the show tonight. So, yes, so awesome.
Please enjoy this very special performance of A Christmas Carol. Thank you, Elf Delaney.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
The mutton chops, I know, right? It's been a great day. I'm an ugly crier. Sorry. Getting to spend like that time in his world a little bit, I'm sorry. It's really special.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. So if you had to offer a couple takeaway lessons to people from your experience working on this particular show, or maybe just kind of around the themes that we talked about today.
Really be deliberate about what you're going out to get. And I just think it wins all the time. I think you don't have to worry about it getting in the way of your artistic vision. You could just take it, strip it down to make it the most basic plan you can. And then once you're there, then plus it up. But get what you need, because the worst is if you get home and you don't have what you need to make it. So then you have the basics and then you go from there. I would say that's the way I work, and I think it's worked. It doesn't let you down because you're prepared. So it's preparing, doing the basics, and then going from there.
Amazing.
That's my biggest.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is fun.
Hope that was helpful. I'm bringing more free deep dives and masterclasses to the channel. So if you are enjoying these, please engage with the video in whatever way makes sense for you. It would really support what I'm doing here. So I appreciate you all. Go out and tell some stories.